This is the moment a man accused of kidnap and murder plot, targeting TV star Holly Willoughby, was arrested by police.
Police! Stay where you are! Do not touch anything! Who else is home?
What's going on? What the hell is going on?
Listen to what my colleague's got to say. Right, you're under arrest on suspicion of conspiracy to kidnap. You do not have to say anything.
What is going on? What are you talking about?
Mention one question, something which later on in court. Anything you do so may be given.
Can you tell me what you're talking about?
You're getting Dubai, alright?
You are very gentle.
Necessities for the arrest are to allow for a prompt and effective investigation by interview and to prevent any further physical harm to the person. Okay, we'll talk about it back.
To who? Can you please explain to me what the hell is going on?
So, at the moment, you're under arrest for conspiracy to kidnap.
Who?
Holly Willoughby.
I don't think those ones are warm.
That's the allegation.
Okay, where's that come from?
Like I said, it'll be explained to you in custody, and you'll be interviewed about it. I'm not going to tell you any further than that at this current time, okay?
Okay then.
But that is the allegation.
I'm not going to lie, she's a fantasy of mine. I mean, she's a fantasy of a lot of guys, isn't she?
Right. You can go anywhere in Florida. Being destroyed.
Mate, if you'd have knocked, I'd have opened and spoke to you.
As we said, the reason
I was literally just about to go to bed.
The reason that they're going into that is because of the offence that you've been arrested for. We need to make sure that we can gather as much evidence as we can as quickly as we can. So we've had to put the door in to secure the evidence. All right.
You've got there's no reason.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And yeah, based on what you said, I can pretty much guess what you're
The dramatic body cam footage was shown to the trial as security guard Gavin Plumb took the stand for the first time. He denies masterminding a plot to kidnap, rape and murder This Morning presenter Holly Willoughby. Plumb, 37, was shirtless when officers forced open his front door and burst into his home in Harlow, Essex on October the 4th last year. The trial saw how the security guard was handcuffed in a bedroom in the property within moments of them entering. In the footage played to jurors in court, the defendant exclaimed to officers, "What are you talking about?" and asked, "Please explain to me what the hell is going on." Told he was under arrest on suspicion of conspiracy to kidnap, Plumb said who, and was told it was Holly Willoughby. The defendant asked, "Okay, where's that from?" and was told by an officer, "That will be explained to you in custody." He later stated to officers in the footage from October the 4th last year, "I'm not gonna lie, she is a fantasy of mine." The trial was earlier told that Plumb had unwittingly engaged in an online chat with a US undercover police officer who he thought was a man called David Nelson. In the conversation with the undercover officer, Plumb told of his plans to put her, Miss Willoughby, into a lake at night. When he had finished raping her, the defendant denied soliciting murder, incitement to rape, and incitement to kidnap. A video of Plumb in police custody was also played to jurors, in which the defendant was speaking but the words were inaudible. Defence barrister Sasha Wass KC said in court, "I wanted the jury to see Mr. Plumb was talking freely and to see the size he was then as opposed to now." The defendant earlier told jurors that his current weight was around 24.5 stone. The trial heard he weighed around 30 stone at the time he was taken into custody. Plumb said that he was following legal advice when he later gave no comment in police interview. Earlier in the hearing, Plumb said online chats about the alleged plot are massively regrettable. He told the jury his discussions with a man who gave his name as Mark were dark, but insisted it wasn't going to be any more than me and him chatting. He said he did not ask a man who turned out to be an undercover officer for help in carrying out the alleged plot. The 37-year-old said he got a rush of excitement about keeping This Morning presenter Holly in a dungeon, but again insisted, "I knew it was online chat." He said his words were a way to get my gratification, move on. Given evidence at Chelmsford Crown Court, Plumb said his WhatsApp communications with Mark were not the kind of chat I would normally participate in. He said during his discussions with Mark, he conceded that when he said he needed to follow her movements and set everything up, he was talking about a fantasy of setting up an abduction. Plumb agreed with his barrister, Sasha Wass KC, that his chats about Holly degraded her. Addressing the defendant in the witness box, Miss Wass asked, "What effect did your interactions with Mark have?" Plumb replied, "Looking back at it now, it's something that is massively regrettable because it's not the kind of chat I would normally participate in." Questioned on how serious his crush on Holly was, the defendant said, "It was. I don't quite know how to explain it." Miss Wass went on, "How many times a day would you think about her?" After Plumb said he was not sure, Miss Wass added, "Did you think of her every day?" The defendant replied, "It would depend on how many times I would chat about her. Some days it would be once, some days it would be 4, 5, 6 times. Miss Wass asked if Plumb ever asked for help from David Nelson, the undercover officer, and the defendant replied no. He said he never asked either him, the undercover officer, or Mark to travel. Miss Wass asked, "Did you imagine either of them were going to travel?" Plumb replied, "No." The defense barrister asked the defendant how he felt about references in online chat to having Miss Willoughby in a dungeon. He said there would be a rush of excitement, adding, "I knew it was online chat. It was chat online. Get my gratification, move on." Miss Wass asked if Plumb visited any premises with a view to keeping a hostage. The defendant replied no. After being taken to a part of his online chat with the undercover officer, where he said he would jump over a wall outside Miss Willoughby's house following a kidnap attempt, Plumb told jurors his between 25 and 30 stone weight meant he had more chance of tripping over the step walking down. Miss Wass also asked Plumb about 2 bottles of chloroform he had bought, as she said, "Did you intend to use it to incapacitate anyone?" The defendant replied no. The barrister continued, "Your plan was incapacitating Miss Willoughby and getting her out of the house. How was that going to work?" Plumb said it wouldn't have done. He told the court he spent 99.9% of his time online after being released from prison in 2010 for offences of false imprisonment. Plumb also said that at one point his weight was ballooning to a dangerous levels, adding that he reached 35 stone and was housebound. He told jurors, "I physically couldn't move without being in pain or being breathless." Asked by Miss Wass if he ever left the house, Plumb said, "Only to go to the doctors or to hospital appointments." The defendant continued, "It was making me feel so low to the point I felt I didn't want to speak to anybody because I was a burden because of my weight. I had to have members of my family come over to help me with my housework." He agreed that in 2018 he had an operation. Gavin Plumb admitted to the jury he had purchased a kit from Amazon that included a whip, lead, shackles, blindfold and clamps with a black rope. Asked by Miss Wass if by the time of his arrest in 2023 any of his equipment had been used on anybody other than yourself, Plumb replied no. The barrister asked Plumb, "Had you been involved in any sexual relationship using any of this?" The defendant replied no. Plumb is accused of attempting to live his ultimate fantasy and has been described by the prosecution as someone who had an obsession with Holly Willoughby. The defendant of Harlow, Essex, denies soliciting murder, incitement to rape and incitement to kidnap. Please like this video, please comment, and don't forget to subscribe to my crime channel. Thank you.